Hey, what's up, everybody? This is John Big Dog Wagner coming at you. And I'm on the 34 in Pennsylvania. Not the most exciting places to take a 34, but it is what it is. We got DOT week coming up. I hope everybody got their stuff together. And I hope everybody makes it through DOT week without any incidents, without any problems or issues. Like I said, you can wish bad on me all day. I never wish bad on you. I would never allow somebody else to lower me to that level. So I wish nothing but good for everybody. I wish nothing but success for everybody for this DOT week. What I want to talk to you about is how you got to get your mind right. There's a lot of hatred in this business. And one of the reasons why there's a lot of hatred in this business, because perfectly honest, this is probably one of the loneliest, most miserable businesses out here. Especially if you OTR. If you OTR, you're missing your home, you're missing your family, you're missing the luxuries and the comforts of just being at home. You're in a box all day, 75% of the year, if not more. It's lonely. And with loneliness comes depression. It's miserable. It is what it is. Me personally, I enjoy it because, I've worked in a four-wall environment before. And for me, I'm miserable being caged in. I've been a manager, I've been a supervisor, I've been behind a desk. I hated that shit. I got paid for it, but that was miserable to me. In this truck, I get paid to travel the countryside. And I see all kinds of views and all kinds of landscape and all kinds of things that I can't see sitting inside them four walls. I get to go to different towns. I get to go to different cities. I get to see different things that I wouldn't even expected were out there. You know what I mean? So I really do enjoy trucking. And I have figured out how to make money doing what I enjoy. But there's a lot of people that are out there that are just miserable. And along with their misery, they're jealous. They're jealous because you're doing better than they are. They're jealous because you have a nicer truck than they do. They're jealous because you got a faster truck than they do. Think I'm lying? When you on a freeway that's 70, 75 miles an hour and you can run 70, 75 miles an hour and you passing Swift and JB Hunt and CR England and Prime and Pride and all them trucks. What happens when you hit a construction zone that says 55 miles an hour, trucks left lane? All them trucks that you just passed go flying through on the right-hand lane doing 65 miles an hour. They saw the speed limit sign. But they want to know what it's like to pass somebody too. So they risk the dangers. They risk the tickets. They risk the unsafe driving behavior just so they can know what it's like to pass somebody. Another example. You're going down a mountain. It says trucks 45 miles an hour. You get down to 45 miles an hour, you adjust your engine brake to maintain that 45 miles an hour. And them same companies I just mentioned, what do? They fly past you at 70, 80, 90 miles an hour going down that hill. The trucks that you see crashed most on those mountainsides are what? Those trucks that are governed to 65, 68 miles an hour. It ain't the ones that do 75, 80 miles an hour. You very rarely see those crashed. The ones you see crashed, Swift, JB Hunt, you know. So, being that it is what it is, you've also got a lot of negative people in this industry. A lot of haters. Think I'm lying? Just look at my comments. I said I went to another company. Somebody put in there thinking he, freaking Chris Tucker, oh, he went to work at Swift. Seriously? And that's your idea of being funny? That's your idea of comedy? Okay. Cheers to you, buddy. It's hatred. Pure hatred. And if you listen to that hatred, you're going to let that hatred affect you. Again, like I said earlier, I'm not letting them bring me down to their level. I'm above that. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm saying I'm above that BS. You know what I mean? Haters are always going to hate. Haters are always going to discourage you. Haters are always going to give you reason to not do something when you very well could be doing something. But you got to learn to ignore all that. You got to learn to ignore all that. What you got to pay attention to is your mindset and get your mindset right. Because if your mindset ain't right, as the saying goes, you can find 1,000 reasons to not do something, but to be successful, all you need is one. The true definition of failure is not succeeding. The true definition of failure is the moment you stop trying. As long as you keep trying, eventually you're going to get there. When people talk to other people, you see the reporters interviewing people on their success. What kind of questions do they ask? How does it feel to be where you are now? What's it like to be where you are now? What are your future plans? You know the questions they never ask? What did it take for you to get here? What sacrifices did you have to make to get here? What did you have to put yourself through to get here? If you look at people that started small, broke, and struggled to open their businesses to become millionaires, they never flaunt their money. But their children, the ones they give the money to, flaunt it all the time, and before too long they broke. Think about that. The reason why? People who struggled to get where they are know what it took to get to where they are. And they appreciate where they are. People who are given it, they don't appreciate nothing. They expect it. And they blow it because they expect more. That simple. When you're doing well, you got 100 friends. When you're doing bad, nobody's around. It's that simple. And the difference is your mindset. A clear example, when I signed up with this company, there was another gentleman there. Nice guy. Very nice guy. I talked to him, chopped it up with him. Even hung out with him for a little bit. He was a cool dude. But when I first started talking to him, he was already talking about packing his bags and going home. He ain't even been in his first truck yet. Oh man, they're not talking to me the way I want them to talk to me. They're not communicating with me the way I want them to communicate with me, blah, 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 blah. The things that they weren't communicating about that he didn't like were the things that only he could answer. And when I pointed that out to him, he's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, so I'll go ahead with the program. All right. Later that day, I talked to fleet management because this truck had an idle cutoff. It wouldn't idle. So I told fleet, I'm a diabetic. I got certain things I got to do. I need the idle to be able to idle. They said, okay, we'll get you to the shop and get the idle cutoff program turned off. All right, cool. My boy hits me up. Where are you about to go to? I'm going to get this idle shut off cut off. He's like, oh, you can do that? So he didn't even know that it could be done. He goes, I'm going to follow you over there. I said, well, did you talk to them about it yet? Did you set anything up about it? Well, I'll call them on the way over there, but I might as well go ahead and follow you over there because I could get it done at the same time. And I'm like, do you have a medical issue on your med card? And he goes, no, I'm perfectly healthy. Okay, you might want to talk to them first. No, I'm just going to go over there. Well, he got put on a load before I did. It turned out the place they sent us to didn't have the proper software to work on our vehicles, so I ended up going to an actual dealership the next day. He had a pickup that morning. My pickup was that afternoon. They wanted him to go do his pickup. He's like, nah, I ain't going to a pickup until y'all cut off this idle shut off. He's like, y'all did it for this man, y'all should be able to do it for me. Again, on my med card, I got a 1-year med card because I'm a diabetic. He's got a 2-year med card that says he's perfectly healthy. Okay. They told him, they said, okay, well, we'll cut it off, but we're not going to cut it off right now. We need you to go pick up this load. And they fighting with him. I ain't going nowhere until you cut it off. There's an old saying, pick your battles. And once you pick your battle, set a strategy. So it came to the point where they said, either you're going to pick up your load or you're going to take your truck back to the shop. Now keep in mind, they didn't tell them they weren't going to shut it off. They said, we're just not going to shut it off right now. We'll turn it off for you, but we're not going to turn it off right now. We need you to go pick up the load. So he went back to the yard, turned the truck in. Started talking about how they were talking to him wrong and how they were mistreating him and this, that, and the other. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be there to begin with. So he was looking for any excuse to get out of there. Because remember, if he didn't know that I was going to get mine turned off, he didn't know that it could be turned off. And being that he didn't know that it could be turned off, had I not told him, he would be out there right now driving that load, or would have delivered it by now. So whose fault is it that he quit? But in his mind, it was the company. He made up his mind to quit, that it wasn't going to work from the day he walked in the door. And that's the way things go in life. Like I told you before, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's all about your mindset. That's all about what you're willing to do and what you're willing to go through to be successful. And you cannot let success be based on what other people think. What you do and what you don't do only affects one person. And that person you see in the mirror every day. And you have to be able to look at that person every day in the mirror and be happy with what you see. And if you're not happy with what you see, all the hatred in the world, you can hate on everybody you see, but it's not going to change what you see in the mirror. It's not. The only person that could change that is you. The only person that could do something about that is you. Hating on somebody and allowing somebody or finding a way to get somebody to join your own pity party, that might make you feel good for a moment, But when all the shit is done, you still got to look at you in the mirror. And if you didn't like what you saw in the mirror when you got up in the morning, you're still not going to like what you see in the mirror when you go to bed at night. It's that simple. It's that simple. So, in moving forward in life and getting things done in life, it's a matter of what you want to do, of what you're willing to sacrifice. It's the positions that you are willing to motivate yourself to get into. It's that simple. And if you're not willing to do it, then find something that you're willing to do. Because there will always be haters. There will always be haters that are going to try to knock you down. Just like when you're successful and you're making lots of money, everybody going to dial your number. Trust me, everybody going to dial your number. But when you're doing bad, your phone is silent. Nobody want to call you. Nobody wants to know about the hard knocks. Nobody wants to know about what you're going through to try to get where you are. You know, a prime example, my older son. He struggled as a kid in a lot of ways. In school and everything else, he struggled. He was worried about him. He decided he wanted to be a DJ. I support my kids. I offered to buy him the equipment. I said, go on Amazon, see what you need. I'll ship it to you, blah, 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 blah. He goes, no, Dad, I got it. He worked a job at a grocery store. Now he works at UPS, and he put all his money into it. He was out there almost every day, every other day, learning the system, learning, what he had to do to be a DJ. Before I knew it, he's on one of these platforms for an hour publicly DJing, people checking in. And now, if you go to Instagram, his page is Mixed Frequencies. He doing gigs left and right. He hired for gigs left and right. And I'm proud of him. And everybody looking at him now, and he got lots of friends and his phones are ringing. But when he was in the garage with his headset trying to figure this stuff out, his phone wasn't ringing. And he didn't do it overnight. He started doing this stuff when he was like 17 years old. He's 23 now. And he's just starting to get the recognition that he should be getting for all the work that he's put in. And he was in there damn near every night working on that. You know what I mean? So, and he had times that his equipment failed on him. He had one night that he was doing a show and everybody's messaging him on the platform, hey, we can't hear you, we can't hear you, we can't hear you. So he shut it down, said he'd be back tomorrow. He went the next day, found out what was wrong with his equipment, got what he needed, and he was live and doing the show the very next day. And trying to get where you're going to get, you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have setbacks. The question is, are you going to keep pushing forward, or are you going to allow that setback to turn you off to what you're trying to do? Your mindset's got to be right. There's a lot of potential in trucking. There's a lot of potential in trucking. But if you're happy where you are, then be happy where you are. Don't hate. Don't hate because somebody else is doing better. Do what you got to do to move forward, to be where that person is. You know what I mean? And for those of you who are trying to do better, who are trying to get somewhere, who are trying to reach a certain level in trucking, don't join the pity parties. Don't join the haters. Don't become another one. As the saying goes, before you decide to emulate somebody, see what that person is and see what that person is doing. And if that's what you want to be, if that's what you want to do, cool. But people, as the saying goes, people who are working in a certain position that want to move up, they don't dress for the position they're in. They dress and present themselves for the position that they want. People who want to move up, they don't say, my clock ends at 5 o'clock. They don't say, that's not my job. And then when they move up and others don't, all of a sudden it's, why does he get the favoritism? The favoritism? When you went home at 5 o'clock, this dude stay here to 8, 9 o'clock trying to get things done. When you were telling me this isn't your job, he was over there getting it done. This is why he has a supervisor position. But people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that because their hours of work are from 9 to 5. Once 5 o'clock hits, they're at the door. In fact, most people, if they get off at 5, by 4:30, they already starting to shut their stuff down. By 4:45, they got their jacket in one hand, their coffee cup they brought in the other, waiting for that time clock to click 5 o'clock so they can hit the door. Most people. I told you guys before, your success is directly proportional to the sacrifices that you're willing to make. If you're not willing to make any sacrifices, that's the level of your success. And I don't care what it is. If it's with getting in shape, if it's with making money, if it's with relationships, I don't care what it is. How well you're going to do with that depends on how much you're willing to do for that. And if you're not willing to do for that, what you got right now is the best you're going to have. It's that simple. It's that simple. So if you're doing something and you're not happy with what you're doing, you want to get somewhere else, put forth the effort. If you're where you are and you're happy where you are, God bless you. But don't be hateful. Because people who are trying to get somewhere are not going to let your hatred affect them. It's like they wear a bulletproof vest. They're not going to let your hatred affect them. And the kind of people that allow your hatred to affect them, they weren't ready to begin with. But your hatred says more about you than it does about the person you're hating on. And that will always be a fact. Anyway, that's it for today. Y'all be safe out there. Make your money. Good luck during DOT week. I hope everybody has a good week.